moment in life when you realize that silence is not emptiness, it is power. Too often we feel the need to explain ourselves, to justify our decisions, and to make sure everyone understands our journey. But elevation does not require an audience. Growth does not need permission, and your destiny does not depend on whether people approve of your process. We live in a world that glorifies noise. Social media pressures us to document every step, to prove our progress, to showcase our success. But real success, real transformation, it happens in the moments no one sees. It happens in the quiet places, in the disciplined hours, in the choices you make when there's no one to clap for you. Silence is not weakness. It is the space where clarity is born. It is in silence that we hear the whispers of wisdom, the directions of purpose, and the nudging of something greater than ourselves. When you stop explaining yourself, you free up energy to focus on what truly matters. Think about the seasons when you've tried to convince people to understand your vision. You shared your ideas only to be met with doubt. You opened up about your dreams only to hear discouragement. Not because your dreams weren't valid, but because not everyone is meant to see what you see. That's why elevation requires discretion. Some battles are won in silence. Some miracles unfold in the shadows, and some levels of growth are only accessible when you step away from the noise. When you move in silence, you take back control over your energy. You stop allowing external voices to dictate your confidence. You stop letting opinions shape your direction. You understand that your purpose was never meant to be up for debate. It was meant to be walked out in faith. Some of the most powerful breakthroughs in life don't happen in the presence of an audience. They happen when you are alone, putting in the work, staying consistent, and refusing to quit when no one is watching. The gym at 5 a.m., the late nights of studying, the quiet hours of self-reflection, the moments when no one is clapping, but you keep going anyway. That is where real transformation happens. So why do we waste time explaining ourselves? Why do we feel the need to justify every decision, every shift, every boundary we set? The people who truly believe in you don't need an explanation, and the ones who doubt you wouldn't believe you even if you gave them one. There is power in moving in silence. When you keep your next step to yourself, you protect your energy, you guard your vision, you allow your work to speak louder than your words ever could. Look at the most successful people, not just in wealth, but in wisdom, in character, in faith. They don't move with noise. They don't need to announce every decision. They simply build. They simply do the work. They simply allow their results to speak for them. The world will always be loud. It will always pressure you to explain, to prove, to seek validation, but you are not here to entertain the noise. You are here to elevate. And elevation requires silence. Not everyone will understand your process. Not everyone will support your choices, but that's okay because you are not doing it for them. You are doing it for the version of yourself that is waiting on the other side of your discipline. So I challenge you today, stop explaining yourself. Stop justifying your growth. Stop looking for approval in places that were never meant to sustain you. Move in silence, work in silence, elevate in silence, and when the time is right, when the work is done, when the foundation is firm, the world will see what you've been building all along, because success doesn't beg for attention, it simply arrives. The greatest transformations in life don't happen when the world is watching. They happen in the unseen moments, in the quiet grind, in the late nights and early mornings when no one is applauding you, when no one even knows what you're working on. Too often we get caught up in the desire to be noticed, to be acknowledged, to receive validation for the steps we're taking. But real success, real lasting success, doesn't need an announcement. It needs patience. It needs a willingness to work in silence and let the results do the talking. There is a reason why seeds grow underground, why foundations are built before skyscrapers rise, why the most powerful movements in history often began behind closed doors. It's because true elevation happens long before it is ever revealed to the world. If you are waiting for someone to recognize your potential before you start, you're already losing valuable time. If you need the applause to keep going, you'll never build something that lasts. Quiet work is uncomfortable because it requires a different kind of strength. It requires you to believe in yourself when no one is clapping. It requires you to trust the process even when the results aren't visible yet. It forces you to push past the desire for instant gratification and commit to something greater. The ones who elevate their lives aren't the ones who make the most noise about their dreams. They are the ones who are willing to do the work in silence, to endure the struggle without complaining, to prepare themselves long before the opportunity arrives. Too many people give up not because they lack potential, but because they lack patience. They expect overnight success, and when it doesn't come, they start questioning their path. But the greatest achievements don't happen overnight. They are built through unseen hours of sacrifice, of discipline, of staying committed when quitting would be easier. Think about the athlete training in the dark, the writer filling up pages before a book deal comes, the entrepreneur working on a business plan before a single dollar is made. No one sees the hours of effort, the setbacks, the moments of self-doubt. And yet they keep going because they understand that success isn't about what happens in public. It's about what happens when no one is watching. The mistake so many people make is thinking they need to announce every step of their journey. They think sharing their goals will bring motivation, that if they talk about it enough, it will somehow make it real. But the truth is, the more you talk about it, the more you invite unnecessary pressure, doubt, and distractions. Not everyone is meant to know what you're building. Not everyone is rooting for your success. And sometimes the best way to protect your vision is to keep it to yourself. There is power in moving in silence. It allows you to focus without external noise. It keeps you from seeking approval from people who were never meant to understand your calling. It gives you the space to fail, to learn, to grow without the weight of other people's opinions. When you work in silence, you free yourself from the need for validation. You stop worrying about how things look and start focusing on how they feel, on whether you are truly becoming the person you were meant to be. And when the time comes, when the work is complete, when you have built something worth showing, the results will speak for themselves. You won't have to explain how hard you worked. You won't have to convince people that you deserve it. They will see it. They will feel it. They will understand that while they were watching, while they were talking, while they were waiting, you were working. The loudest noise you will ever make in life is not in what you say. It is in what you do. It is in the transformation that is undeniable, in the results that no one can ignore. Success is not in the talking. It is in the doing. So stop announcing every move. Stop seeking validation for every decision. Stop waiting for the world to notice before you take action. Move in silence. Work in silence, elevate in silence. And when the moment is right, the results will be so loud that the world will have no choice but to listen. Discipline is what separates those who dream from those who achieve. It's the bridge between desire and success, the foundation that holds everything together when motivation fades. Too many people rely on inspiration to push them forward, waiting for the perfect moment, the right mood, or a spark of energy to take action. But the truth is, the ones who elevate their lives are the ones who move whether they feel like it or not. They understand that discipline speaks louder than words. Think about it. How many times have you heard someone say they want to change their life, start a business, get healthy, or develop a new skill? They talk about it passionately. They make promises to themselves and others, but weeks, months, and years pass and nothing happens. Why? Because talking is easy, starting is easy, but showing up every single day, even when it's hard, even when no one is watching, that's the real challenge. That's where discipline comes in. The problem is we live in a world that celebrates quick results and overnight success stories. We see the highlight reels of people achieving their dreams, but we don't see the sacrifices they made to get there. We don't see the countless hours of unseen effort, the mornings when they got up before the sun, the nights when they stayed in while everyone else was out. We don't see the frustration, the failures, the moments of self-doubt. And because we don't see it, we assume that success should be easy. That if we're struggling, if we're tired, if we're unsure, we must be doing something wrong. But that's a lie. Success isn't supposed to be easy. Growth isn't supposed to be comfortable. If it were, everyone would do it. The truth is, discipline requires sacrifice. It means making choices that most people won't make, choosing long-term rewards over short-term pleasure, choosing commitment over convenience, choosing consistency over comfort. Think about an athlete training for a championship. They don't wake up every morning excited to practice. They don't feel like pushing their body to the limit every single day, but they do it anyway. Why? Because they are not moved by their feelings. They are moved by their vision. They understand that their success is not determined by one great performance, but by the thousands of silent, disciplined moments leading up to it. The same is true for you. If you want to elevate your life, you can't afford to move based on feelings. You have to move based on your commitment. You have to stop making excuses. You have to stop waiting for motivation. You have to stop telling yourself that you'll start tomorrow. The only thing that will separate you from where you are now and where you want to be is your ability to stay disciplined when no one is clapping for you, when no one is cheering you on, when no one even knows what you're doing. Because here's the truth. Nobody is coming to save you. Nobody is going to do the work for you. Nobody is going to hand you discipline on a silver platter. It's a choice you have to make every single day. Some days will be easier than others. Some days you will feel inspired and powerful. Other days you will feel exhausted and discouraged. But the ones who elevate their lives are the ones who push through the hard days, who show up even when it's inconvenient, who do the work even when no one is watching. Your discipline will speak for you in ways words never could. It will show up in your results, in your character, in the way you carry yourself. It will become your reputation, not because you talked about what you were going to do, but because you actually did it. So what do you do when motivation runs out? What do you do when you don't feel like pushing forward? You remind yourself why you started. You take action even if it's small. You focus on progress, not perfection. You embrace the discomfort because that's where growth happens. And most importantly, you stop talking and start doing. Because at the end of the day, discipline is not about what you say. It's about what you repeatedly do. It's about the choices you make in the quiet moments, the unseen effort, the sacrifices no one else will ever know about. That is what leads to true elevation. That is what separates those who wish from those who win. So stop making promises and start keeping them. Stop waiting for the perfect moment and start where you are. Move with discipline, move with intention, move in silence, and let your results speak louder than words ever could. In a world filled with constant noise, distractions, and opinions, finding stillness can feel almost impossible. But the truth is, stillness is not about the absence of movement. It's about the presence of clarity. It's in the moments of silence that you truly hear yourself, that you reconnect with your purpose, that you find the answers you've been searching for. Too often we run from silence. We fill every moment with activity, with conversations, with entertainment. We scroll through our phones, jump from task to task, surround ourselves with people and noise, all in an attempt to avoid sitting with our thoughts. But what if the very thing we are avoiding is the key to our next level? What if everything we need to elevate is waiting for us in the quiet moments we've been neglecting? Clarity does not come from chaos. It does not come from constantly explaining yourself to others, seeking their approval, or trying to prove your worth. Clarity comes when you step back, when you turn down the noise of the world, when you stop asking for outside validation and start listening to your own inner voice. Think about the most powerful decisions you've ever made in your life. The moments when you knew without a doubt that you had to make a change, that you had to walk away, that you had to step up. Those moments didn't happen in the middle of distractions. They happened in the quiet spaces, in the late night reflections, in the early morning stillness, in the times when you were alone with nothing but your thoughts and your truth. That's because silence has a way of stripping away everything that doesn't matter. It forces you to confront yourself, to acknowledge what you've been avoiding, to see yourself clearly. And that is where elevation begins. Not in the noise, not in the opinions of others, but in the stillness where you finally hear what you've been too busy to listen to. But silence is not just about clarity, it's also about strength. It takes strength to sit in stillness, to resist the urge to fill every space with meaningless distractions. It takes strength to trust yourself, to trust your vision, to trust that you don't need to explain yourself to everyone in order to move forward. Not everyone will understand your process. Not everyone is supposed to, and that's okay. The most powerful moves are often made in silence. The most life-changing decisions are often made alone. And the greatest elevation happens when you stop looking around for answers and start looking within. Some of you have been feeling stuck, not because you lack potential, but because you've been drowning in too much noise. You've been trying to figure out your next step while letting too many voices into your space. You've been seeking clarity while surrounding yourself with distractions, and now it's time to step back, to get quiet, to listen. Because the answers you've been searching for, they aren't out there. They're already inside you. You just need the silence to hear them. Stillness is not passive, it's powerful. It's the place where you realign, where you refocus, where you remind yourself of who you are and what you're capable of. It's where you stop reacting to the world and start creating your own path. So stop running from the quiet. Stop looking for answers in places that were never meant to guide you. Get still, get clear, get intentional. And when you do, you'll realize that everything you've been looking for has been waiting for you in the silence all along. The most undeniable form of proof is results. You don't have to explain your growth, defend your progress, or justify your transformation when the evidence speaks for itself. Too often we waste time trying to convince people that we are changing, that we are evolving, that we are stepping into something greater. But real elevation is not something you announce, it's something you live. Think about the moments in your life when you tried to explain your vision to people who couldn't see it. You talked about your dreams and they looked at you with doubt. You shared your goals and they questioned your ability to achieve them. Not because you weren't capable, but because they couldn't comprehend what had been placed inside you. That's why elevation requires silence. Not everyone is meant to understand your process. Not everyone deserves access to your journey. Some people will only believe in your growth when they see it, and by then, you won't need to explain it. Success has a way of silencing doubt. When you put in the work, when you stay disciplined, when you keep moving forward despite the obstacles, there will come a day when your results make the announcement for you. The same people who doubted you will be the ones asking how you did it. The same ones who didn't support you will wish they had, but by then you won't need their validation because you will have already proven to yourself what you are capable of. There is something powerful about letting your actions speak louder than your words. When you stop trying to prove yourself and start focusing on your process, everything shifts. You redirect your energy from seeking approval to building something real. You move with confidence, knowing that the work you are doing in silence will soon be visible to everyone. And when the moment comes, your results will be undeniable. The mistake too many people make is thinking they need to convince others before they've done the work. They spend time defending their journey instead of walking it. They waste energy explaining themselves instead of focusing on what truly matters. But real success doesn't require explanations, it requires action. Think about the most successful people you know, not just in business, but in life, in character, in discipline. They don't spend their time arguing with people who don't believe in them. They don't waste energy trying to prove their worth. They simply show up, do the work, and let the results speak for them. That's the mindset you need to adopt. Stop worrying about whether people understand your journey. Stop feeling like you have to explain your growth. Stop looking for approval from people who were never meant to validate your path. Instead, focus on doing the work. Focus on becoming the person you were meant to be. Focus on creating something so undeniable that no one can ignore it. Because when the results show up, the conversation changes. The doubt turns into respect. The questions turn into admiration. And the people who once overlooked you will have no choice but to acknowledge what you built. So let this be your reminder. Stop talking and start doing. Let go of the need to explain yourself. Move in silence, elevate in private, and when the time is right, let your results make the announcement. Because real success doesn't need validation. It speaks for itself.